Let me ask you something, and I want you to answer me honestly the way you'd answer an old friend sitting across the kitchen table from you, with a cup of coffee going cold between you. When you push yourself up out of your chair at the end of a long day, do your legs feel like two sacks of wet sand? Heavy, aching, tired, clear down to the bone. And have you started reaching for the longer skirts, the looser trousers, the darker stockings, not because you favor them, but because somewhere along these last years you grew quietly ashamed of those little red and purple lines that have begun crawling up the backs of your legs, the ones that seem to multiply every single winter? And it isn't only the legs, is it? It's the hands that wake up stiff as frozen leather every morning, the knee that catches and grinds when you take the porch steps, the shoulder that won't let you reach the top shelf anymore. It's the tired shadow that's settled under your eyes, the one that makes folks ask, "Now, did you sleep all right?" When you slept just fine, thank you, you only look weary. It's the skin on the back of your hands gone thin as the page of an old family Bible, crinkling up where it used to be smooth. I know all of this, my dears, because I am 82 years old and I have lived in this body a long, long time. But here is what I want you to hold on to, right from the start. By the time we are done talking today, I am going to teach you how to make a little green salve with two simple things you most likely have in your kitchen this very minute. The same salve my grandmother stirred up by lamplight when I was a barefoot girl, long before there was a doctor within 30 miles of our farm. And this humble little salve can ease those heavy, aching legs. It can soften the look of those veins you've been hiding. It can quiet sore, stiff joints so you sleep through the night. It can lift that tired shadow from around your eyes. And there is a sixth thing: it does a thing the fancy stores will never, ever tell you, because if you knew it, you'd stop handing them your money. I'll get to that, I promise. But I'll also tell you this plain, because I am too old to flatter anyone. There is one mistake, just one, that ruins the whole batch. Most people make it without ever knowing, and they end up with a jar of nice-smelling green grease that does almost nothing at all. I am going to show you exactly how to keep from making it. So stay right here with me to the end, because by the time we finish, you will never look at this little plant the same way again. And here is the part that tickles me most. The men in white coats, the scientists with their microscopes, they have only lately caught up to what my gross mommy knew with nothing but her two hands and the herb bed by the kitchen door. They have done their studies now, and some of what they found startled even the doctors, including one finding so surprising that I had to read it twice before I believed it. I'll share it all with you, every bit. Now, the plant I am talking about, you have it. I would wager nearly every one of you watching has it in the cupboard right now, in a little jar, gathering dust between the thyme and the bay leaves. You sprinkle it on a roast chicken. You tuck a sprig into the Sunday potatoes. It grows in a pot on many a windowsill, woody and gray-green and stubborn, surviving when every other plant has given up. I am talking about rosemary, plain old rosemary. The good Lord set it growing right by the kitchen door of half the world, and most folks have never known it was anything more than a seasoning. But before I tell you the how and the why, let me say one thing, because this is the heart of it, and it's the part I most want for you and for the ones you love. I have been making and using these old remedies for the better part of 70 years now, and for the longest time, people would write to me or stop me after church or catch me in the market, and they would ask the same thing over and over. How do you keep all of it straight? The salves, the teas, the little exercises you do for your knees, the way you eat, the old recipes your mother passed down, how does one body remember all of it? And the honest answer was, I didn't keep it straight, not on paper anyway, it just lived in my hands and my habits. So finally, after being asked enough times, I sat down and I gathered it all together in one place, the remedies, the recipes, the gentle movements, The simple daily habits that keep an older body limber and the blood moving and the spirits up so that you wouldn't have to piece it together the slow, hard way I did. If you'd like to have it, it's waiting for you in the link down in the description, and you'll also find it pinned right at the top of the comments. I tell you about it now, and not at the end, because everything I'm about to teach you works best when the salve isn't working alone, when you pair it with the small, steady habits that keep your circulation flowing and your joints loose. The salve is the spark. The habits are the fire that keeps burning. The two together are what truly change how a body feels at 70 and 80 and beyond. Now, let me get back to the rosemary because I've got a great deal to give you. The first thing you must understand, and this is where so many good-hearted people go wrong, is why we make a salve and not a tea. Now, don't misunderstand me. A cup of rosemary tea is a fine and pleasant thing, and it has its own modest gifts. But if what you're after is to help your skin, your aching joints, your tired legs, and the tired circulation underneath all of it, then steeping the leaves in hot water and drinking it down is leaving the best of the plant sitting in the pot. Here is the reason, and it's simple once you see it. The most powerful pieces of the rosemary, the ones with the long scientific names, rosmarinic acid and carnosic acid, and the camphor and that piece they call cineole, those are what they call oil-loving. They don't care for water. They won't dissolve into your teapot in any real amount. They will, however, melt willingly and completely into a fat, into an oil. So when you patiently warm those leaves in good oil, you draw out the true medicine, every last bit of it, and you trap it where you can use it. Nothing wasted, nothing left behind in the leaves. And then there's the skin itself, which is a marvel the Lord made cleverer than we give it credit for. Your skin will drink an oil right in, soaking it down into the tissue just beneath, working right there where you've rubbed it on the sore knee, on the heavy calf, on the thin skin under the eye. You're putting the medicine exactly where the trouble lives, instead of sending it the long way round through a tea. That is why the salve does what the tea simply cannot when it comes to your skin and your joints and your circulation. Now let me give you the gifts of it one by one, and I'll be honest with you about every single one, because I'd rather you trust me than be dazzled by me. The first gift is for those tired, heavy, aching legs and the little veins that come with them. When you rub the rosemary salve into your calves and ankles, and here's a small secret, always stroke upward, from the ankle toward the knee, the way you'd coax water uphill. The warm, lively compounds in the rosemary gently coax the small blood vessels to open and the blood that's been pooling and sitting still to start moving again. That sitting, stagnant blood is the whole trouble. It's what makes the legs feel like lead by evening. It's what presses on those tiny vessels until the fine red and purple lines show through. With steady use, and I do mean steady, every night, not once and forgotten, that heaviness lifts, the swelling eases, and those little spider-fine veins fade in how they look, slowly, the way a stain fades from a tablecloth with many washings. Now, I must be straight with you, because the fancy thumbnails will lie and I won't. If you have the big, ropey, bulging veins, the true varicose veins that stand up off the leg like cords, a salve will not erase those, and anyone who tells you it will is reaching into your pocketbook. Those are a matter for your doctor, plain and simple. But the heaviness, the ache, the swelling, the tired, throbbing, and the look of the fine surface veins that the rosemary helps, and helps well, for pennies. I'd rather give you the honest truth and keep your trust than promise you a miracle and lose it. The second gift is for the skin itself, and this is why the old women of my mother's day called rosemary the herb of youth. It is one of the most powerful antioxidants the green world has to offer. Now, antioxidant is a big word, so let me put it the way my grandmother would have. Every day the sun and the wind and the worry of life throw little sparks at your skin, and those sparks burn away the framework underneath the collagen, the good Lord's own scaffolding that holds your face up firm and smooth. When that scaffolding burns away, the skin sags and creases and goes papery. A thin layer of rosemary salve, smoothed onto the face, the neck, the chest, the backs of the hands always at night, mind you, and I'll tell you why shortly sets up a kind of shield against those sparks. It doesn't just guard, either. It gently nudges the skin to lay down new framework of its own, softening the fine lines and bringing back a little of that lit-from-within look that rested, well-fed skin has. The women along the warm seas who've rubbed this into their skin since girlhood reach 80, with faces that fool you by 20 years. And I'll tell you what it is. It isn't luck, and it isn't fancy blood. It's knowing what grows by the door and using it faithfully. The third gift is the one folks are most surprised by, and it's that tired shadow under the eyes, the puffiness, the bags, the dark half-moons that make you look worn out, even on a morning you slept like a baby. The reason they show up is that the skin under your eyes is the thinnest skin on your whole body, thin as onion paper, and when the fluid and the sluggish blood gather there, you see it straight through, dark as a bruise. A very little dab of the salve, and I mean the size of a grain of rice, patted ever so gently with your ring finger, never rubbed, never pulled. That skin is delicate coaxes, that pooled fluid to drain away, and the little vessels to perk up. Over a couple of weeks, the puffiness settles and the darkness lightens, and you'll find folks asking if you've finally gotten some rest. Keep it well clear of the eye itself. Now never let it get in your eye. The fourth gift is the one I am most grateful for in my own old bones, and if you suffer with arthritis or stiff aching joints, this one may become your dearest friend. Rosemary carries within it that bit of natural camphor, the same cooling, tingling thing you've smelled in the old chest rubs your mother used. When you work the salve into a sore knee, a locked-up lower back, a throbbing shoulder, or hands gone stiff with the morning cold, that camphor does two kind things at once. It quiets the little nerve endings that are shouting, "Pain, pain, pain," up to your brain. It gently tells them to hush, and it cools the heat of the swelling right there in the joint. Most folks feel a soft warmth first, and then, a few minutes behind it, the ache lets go. Use night after night, the deeper stiffness eases too, because the blood is moving better and bringing fresh nourishment to those tired joints. In the days before the drugstore, this very salve was what the country grandmothers reached for when the rheumatism flared. And the older folks who take it up today so often tell me the same thing. They sleep clear through the night now, because the ache that used to wake them has quieted, and they rise in the morning moving easier than they have in years. That, my dears, that is what changes a life. Not living forever, just sleeping through the night and rising without a groan. The fifth gift is a quiet, humble one, but for some of you it matters more than all the rest. Rosemary is a powerful enemy of the little bugs and fungus that plague aging skin and feet. The bacteria and the fungus, they cannot abide the oils in rosemary. Studies have shown those oils stop the growth of many a stubborn fungus and germ, even some that laugh at the usual treatments. So if you've fought a fungus on your toenails for months and nothing has touched it, or you've got those deep, painful cracks in your heels that just won't close no matter how much cream you slather on, or a little sore or scrape on the foot that's been slow to heal, this salve may be just the friend you've been needing. It cleans the troublemakers out of the spot and brings fresh, lively blood to the area, and that is exactly what tired skin needs to finally knit itself back together. Now, hear me well for a true open wound, a deep one, or a foot sore if you're a diabetic, you go to your doctor first, every time. The salve is for the small, stubborn nuisances, not for serious wounds. Don't ever forget that. Now here is the sixth gift, the one I promised you, the one the stores will never breathe a word of, and I had to read the studies twice myself because I could scarcely credit it. This same rosemary, when its oil is massaged into the scalp, has been put head to head against the leading drugstore hair treatment in a proper study with 100 people. They split them into two groups, one using the rosemary oil and one using the standard drugstore remedy, for 6 full months. And at the end, the rosemary held its own. The new hair count came out right alongside the famous drugstore product, and what's more, the rosemary folks had less of the itchy, irritated scalp that the drugstore group suffered. Now, I'll not promise you a young man's full head of hair, and the scientists themselves say it's a small study and more work's to be done. But for thinning hair, which troubles so many of us women too, more than anyone lets on a little of this same oil, worked into the scalp 2 or 3 times a week, costs almost nothing and is gentle as can be. The same plant for your legs, your joints, your skin, and your scalp. The Lord does not waste his handiwork. And there's one more thing I'll tuck in here, because it touches the worry I hear most from people my age, the fear of losing your memory, of grasping for a name that won't come. Rosemary has long been called the herb of remembrance, and it turns out there's more than poetry in it. When researchers had healthy folks simply breathe in the scent of rosemary, the ones in the rosemary-scented room remembered to do things, and remembered them quicker, better than the others, and they could measure the rosemary right there in the blood, proving it was the herb doing the work. In older folks, even a tiny pinch of the dried leaf, about half a teaspoon, sharpened how fast they could recall things. But mark me well, for this is wisdom the salve sellers won't tell you. More is not better. A great big dose did the opposite. It muddied the thinking instead of sharpening it. So a little goes a long way in everything with this plant. When you simmer your salve, and that good piney scent fills your kitchen, breathe it in deep and be glad of it. It's doing more than smelling pleasant. Now, as I promised from the start, let me teach you to make it, step by gentle step, and you'll see it's far easier than you feared. You need no special equipment and nothing hard to find. You'll want about 3 good tablespoons of dried rosemary from any market or spice shelf, and it costs next to nothing. And you'll want about half a cup of oil. Coconut oil or good olive oil both do beautifully. Coconut has the pleasant habit of going firm when it cools, so it sets up into a proper buttery salve all on its own. Olive oil stays liquid, more like an infused oil, but it works every bit as well on the skin, so use whichever you have. Here's the making of it. Set your oil in a small bowl or jar, and stand that down inside a pot of water on the stove, what the old cooks called a water bath, so the oil never touches the flame directly. Bring the heat as low as your stove will go. You do not want that water boiling and bucking. You want it just warm, just barely steaming. Stir your dried rosemary down into the oil and let it sit there in that gentle warmth for about 20 minutes. The oil will slowly take on a greenish, golden green color, and that is exactly what you're after. That's the rosemary, giving up its medicine into the oil. After your 20 minutes, take it off the heat, let it cool until you can handle it, and then strain it through a fine sieve or a clean cloth to catch all the little leaves. What's left is your green, fragrant, medicine-rich oil. If you used coconut oil, set it in a cool place, and it will firm up into a soft, spreadable salve. If you used olive, it stays as a lovely oil. Spoon it into a clean glass jar with a good lid, and it'll keep 2, even 3 months. Many an old hand likes to drop in a little vitamin E oil or a pierced capsule of it to help it keep longer, and to store the jar somewhere dark and cool, out of the sun. And if you'd like a firmer salve that won't melt in a warm summer kitchen, you can melt in a small spoonful of beeswax while the oil is still warm. That's how my grandmother set hers, so it'd hold its shape through July. Now here comes the one mistake, the very one I warned you about that can ruin the whole batch and send all your good work up the chimney. The error is letting the oil get too hot. If that oil ever starts to smoke or bubble or boil hard, the precious oils of the rosemary, which are flighty, delicate things, simply fly up and out into the air of your kitchen and are gone forever. You'll be left with oil that's a pretty green and smells just lovely, but has hardly a lick of medicine left in it. The flame must stay the lowest it can go, warm to the touch, never hot enough to fry. Keep it gentle, keep it patient, and the medicine stays right where you want it. Remember that above everything, because the whole power of the salve depends on it. And one last piece of wisdom that makes all the difference. Use your salve at night before you climb into bed. While you sleep, your body goes about its quiet repair work. The blood moves more freely to the skin, the cells renew, the tissues mend. If the rosemary is sitting on your skin while all that's happening, the two work together hand in glove. And there's a plainer reason too. Rosemary can make your skin a touch more tender toward the sun, so night is simply the safer, smarter time. No daytime sun to undo it, no sweat of the day to dilute it. Just you, resting, and the salve doing its quiet work alongside your own body. That's when it gives its very best. Now, before I let you go, I must speak to you the way I'd speak to my own children, because I love you too well to send you off without a word of care. This salve is a gift, but it is strong, and a few of you must take care. If you are prone to seizures or have the falling sickness in your history, you must steer clear of rosemary used this strong way, for that bit of camphor can stir up trouble in folks who are prone to it. So leave it be and ask your doctor. If you carry high blood pressure, or take a blood thinner, or you're one who can't take aspirin, go gently and check with your doctor before you start, for rosemary can nudge those things. If by chance you are carrying a child or nursing one, set this aside for now. And every single one of you, no matter how hale, before you ever slather a new thing all over your skin, do a small patch test first. Put a dab on the soft inside of your forearm, leave it a day, and make sure your skin is happy with it before you go further. Keep it away from your eyes and from any open wound. And always, always, listen to your own body over any voice on a screen, mine included. Which brings me to the most important thing I'll say to you all day, and I want you to hear it clearly. I am an old woman who has loved these plants her whole life. I am not your doctor. Nothing I have shared with you today is meant to take the place of your physician's care, nor to treat or cure any disease. It is the gentle, time-worn wisdom of the kitchen and the herb bed, nothing grander than that. If you are ill, if you are on medicines, if anything at all worries you, you take it to your doctor and you let them guide you. These old ways are meant to walk alongside good medical care, never to replace it. Promise me that. The good Lord, you know, has always given us most of what we need to live with less pain, more spring in our step, and skin that's hale and well. And so often, He's set it growing right there by the kitchen door, costing almost nothing, while we walked past it for 40 years thinking it was only good for the Sunday chicken. Your body has a wondrous power to mend and renew itself when you give it the right small helps. And sometimes the right help is far simpler and far closer to hand than anyone ever told you. So don't put off till tomorrow what you can start tonight. Make your little jar of salve with care, use it faithfully, and give your body the time it needs to answer. It will answer. It only asks for patience. Now, I'd dearly love to hear from you down in the comments. Did you ever know that the herb of remembrance grew right in your own cupboard? Tell me, what will you reach for the salve for first? The heavy, aching legs at the end of the day? The stiff hands of a morning? The tired shadow under the eyes? Or those little veins you've been hiding? I read every one, and it warms my old heart to know where in this wide world you're watching from. And if you have someone you love, a sister, a husband, a dear old friend who aches the way we ache, share this with them right now, this very minute. A small kindness like that can change how someone you love feels every single day. Take good care of yourselves, my dears, and until we sit down together again, God keep you.